really hard to overstate the importance of water to human civilization, or of course life more generally. But it's not often enough that we sit back and imagine the movement of water around the globe and consider just what an immense, wondrous process that is. The story of a drop of water is of course well known. Everybody's heard of the water cycle. It's that last step in the process that we're especially interested in. When water hits the surface of the earth, will it infiltrate quickly or slowly? Or will it simply flow across the surface, potentially ending up where it's not wanted? As water penetrates the earth, we think about it as moving through what we call the vadose, or unsaturated zone. It's been called the final frontier of hydrology because we understand very little compared to the rest of the hydrological cycle about how water moves through this zone. What we do see, and sitting here by the Vakuen River as it flows down to Llyn, is the phenomenal effect of water moving through the landscape. Most fundamentally, water gives life to the organisms of the soil. It's the solution that makes the chemistry of life possible. And as it moves, so does it transfer the nutrients needed by plants to grow. Also dependent on the delicate balance of soil and water are the countless number of microbes, fungi and other soil-dwelling creatures that allow old dead matter to be decayed and thus reborn, renewed in some other form. As water moves through the landscape, so too is it purified for human consumption. So it helps regulate the climate by transferring energy from the atmosphere to the surface. We use it for industry, to generate power, for sanitation, and for those of us lucky enough to have the wealth and the time available to us, the landscape and the water within it can provide us with a huge amount of recreational pleasure. Understanding the movement of water through soil is a tricky business, due to the variability of the composition of the soil, but also to the many other features of the landscape that can influence the way it behaves hydrologically. To try and improve this understanding, we've been travelling all over the UK, to sites with different land uses on the same soil type, where we conduct field measurements and return with soil cores to be painstakingly processed and analysed in the lab. In recent years, analysis of hydrological and ecological data from around the world has suggested a strong correlation between vegetation and land use and the speed that water may infiltrate and move through the soil. Processing these data and samples to improve the modelling of water flow is a fiddly, time-consuming and therefore ultimately costly procedure. But we're already discovering some interesting things, such as that the extent of soil hydrophobicity, that is the tendency of the soil to actually repel water, is greater than we imagined. And that whilst vegetation cover may affect the water infiltration, a greater influence is likely to be the exact way the land is used. For instance, if there are a lot of grazing and browsing animals in a woodland, then they will likely negate any hydrological benefit created by the trees. The choice of how and how intensely we use our land, how much and how quickly we want to extract from it, will affect the way that we and future generations are able to enjoy our lives. We can choose the type of world we want our children to inherit, and surely we want to choose one in which humans live more sympathetically with their natural surroundings. I imagine a future where humans are embedded in an agroecological landscape of staggering complexity, a mosaic of land uses, tended by humans working seamlessly with lightweight robots and drones. This doesn't mean a return to some idealised agrarian past, but what it may mean is fostering some of the attitudes often ascribed to such societies. I think this is what some people mean when they talk about developing a spiritual relationship with the land. I see it more as an emotional and an imaginative experience. Through a more visceral connection with nature, so do we come to appreciate and respect, to be awed, and even to love this landscape and this world and this life.